Hi, this is Stefan Gonig, Soulmate Attraction Mentor and founder of the Soulmate Attraction Academy from findingtheloveyouwant.com. Welcome to Love Talk Q&A, the place to be to get your questions answered about finding and keeping the love of your life. Now, in this episode of Love Talk Q&A, I'm going to be talking about a topic that's probably one of the most important topics that I'll be covering in this show. And I call it the 3 phases of dating, making sense of the madness. So I get and have gotten many questions over the years about different kinds of dating experiences that my clients have had. And originally I sort of addressed them individually. And over time I came to realize there's this organizing model that can explain a wide range of experiences in a way that helps you really understand what's going on. And that's what my 3 phases of dating model is about. This is particularly important for people who are on a healing journey from starting in some very difficult love life place, trying to work through all their blocks so that they can be with the love of their life. So it turns out that there are predictable things that can happen in that journey, and many of my clients have found it incredibly helpful to understand that process and what can happen, because otherwise there are actually cases where you can be making significant progress and it can feel like instead that you're going backwards. And if you don't understand what's going on there, then that can be very discouraging. To the point for some people they could even give up because they think, Jesus, it's not working, it's getting worse. When in fact, actually is getting much better. It just doesn't seem that way at first. So in order to talk about the 3 phases of dating, I need to talk about something that I go over in my free mini course, The 3 Secrets to Attracting Amazing Love. That mini course goes into all this in great depth, but I'm going to give you sort of the quickest, barest overview. So in that mini course, I talk about there being 3 key blocks to finding love. The first key block is being powerfully, subconsciously attracted to the wrong people that have certain negative traits. This is what keeps people just repeating the same kind of painful relationships over and over again. The second key block is having fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that interfere with or even prevent you from being with your ideal partner. And the third key block is not being aligned with bringing your ideal partner into your life as soon as possible. Okay, so now these 3 key blocks have a strong correspondence to the 3 phases of dating. So let's go over these phases now. So phase 1 is what I call unconscious dating. Phase 1 is where we all start. And this is where, in phase 1, all 3 blocks are present. You're, powerfully, subconsciously attracted to the wrong people, have too many fears and limiting beliefs to be with the right ideal person, and not aligned with bringing your partner into your life as soon as possible. So like I say, this is where we all start. This is where we have a really problematic, painful love life. And this is what usually inspires people to go on a healing journey to try and clear all that out so they can really be with their soulmate. So in phase 1, what we do is we work on that first block where you clear out this powerful subconscious negative attraction pattern where you're attracted to the wrong people. Because as long as that block's in place, it's impossible to ever have a really good, healthy, happy relationship. Instead, you'll just keep hitting your head against the wall with the same kind of painful, negative relationship over and over again. So you work on breaking free from that negative attraction pattern. And once you've succeeded in doing that, you have completed phase 1 and you've now moved into phase 2. So once you've done that, you've entered phase 2, that means you're no longer attracted to these negative people anymore, which is hallelujah, fantastic. It's an incredible relief. It's like, never again. It's fantastic. So now phase 2 is the phase that is about safety and potentially drama. Okay? And the reason why is in phase 2, we still have too many fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that are preventing us from being with our ideal partner. Okay? Our ideal partner, if we imagine being with that person at this point, it's just way too intimidating, it's too threatening, it's too scary. Being with our ideal partner, the stakes just feel enormous. So we can't even go there, can't even get close at the beginning of phase 2. So if we can't do that, we're no longer attracted to the wrong people anymore, great, but we can't be with the right person either, so where does that leave us? Where it leaves us in this sort of in-between place. And this in-between place is where things can get really confusing. So at the beginning of phase 2, at the earliest point, sometimes people go through a period where they just don't feel like dating, right? Because the people that we were originally powerfully subconsciously attracted to, who had these certain negative traits, those used to be the sexiest people on the planet for us. It was wrong, it was unhealthy, but it was sexy. There's a big charge to it. And we don't have that anymore. And it's a relief, but if we look at the alternative, our ideal partner, we're not ready to be with that person. Now that person, if we could go there, would be super exciting, but we can't go there yet. So we're in this middle place. So we might just lose interest in dating. Now you can see how this could be really confusing. I've had clients who enter that phase and they go, thanks a lot, Stefan. I used to be attracted to the wrong people, and sure, I'm not attracted to anymore. That's good. But now I don't want to date at all. At least I used to have dates before, and this sucks. So, that's when I would usually start explaining the 3 phases of dating so they can understand that this is a temporary situation and it actually represents progress, even though it doesn't seem that way on the surface. So you can see this is really helpful. The other thing that can happen in early phase 2, say the first half of phase 2, is let's say the person doesn't lose interest in dating altogether. They're not able to be with their ideal partner. So what they'll tend to do is be with people who are nice people. It's pleasant to be with them. It's a good person. They're just not, their ideal kind of partner. They're not really the kind of person they're looking for, because, that's still too scary. It's too intimidating. So they are with a person that's not exciting. And it's just for companionship, to have somebody to hang out with, maybe somebody to cuddle with, all that kind of stuff. But you can tell deep down, this is not my ideal partner. And in that case, you feel safe, right? I said phase 2 is about safety. It doesn't feel safe to be with my ideal partner. It's too threatening. It's too scary. Being with somebody who's not my ideal partner, it's not fully satisfying, but it feels safe. It's all I'm able to do at this point. And phase 2 is about feeling safe for a lot of the time. Okay? So if you're in phase 2 for a long time, because you're not really working, healing your issues very much, you might find yourself having a series of pleasant, uninspiring, but pleasant relationships. They're nice people, and, it's pleasant. That's basically what it is. As you progress through phase 2, so what we're doing in phase 2 is we are identifying and clearing out these fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs, ultimately to the point where we can finally fully be with our ideal partner. But it's a process. So, as we're working through that in phase 2, we're sort of progressing through phase 2, like from phase 2.0 all the way to 2.9 until we hit 3. So as we progress through phase 2, maybe at around phase 2.5 or so, you might enter this really interesting place where you cleared your fears and limiting beliefs enough that you can get much closer to the kind of person you really want to be with, but you're still not quite ready to be with your ideal partner fully yet. So you'll find yourself getting together with people who have almost everything you want in a partner, except for one fatal flaw. And it's this fatal flaw that keeps it feeling safe. That makes sense? So this fatal flaw could be many things. This person has everything I want in a partner, except I don't find them at all physically attractive. Fatal flaw. Or they have everything I'm looking for in a partner, but they live 5,000 miles away, so we can't spend hardly any time together. So that distance creates that safety. Okay. Oh, and there's no chance of either person moving. Okay. Fatal flaw. This person has everything I want, but they're married. Fatal flaw. So in every case, or here's another one. This is a really common one. This person has everything I want in a person, but they don't want to have kids, and I am dead set committed to having children. That mismatch is a fatal flaw, or it could be the other way around, of course, right? So there might be some kind of life thing or value, personal value that's a non-negotiable thing, and yet you find yourself going forward anyway. It's like, so why am I doing that? Well, the reason why you're doing that is because it's a way to get much closer to what you're ideally looking for and still feeling safe, because this fatal flaw means that ultimately this is not going to work out. And that helps you feel safe because you're still not quite ready yet for your ideal partner. So that'd be around phase 2.5, say. Okay, so far everything I've been talking about is about being safe. I also mentioned that phase 2 can also be a bit about drama. So what can happen in phase 2, if you really try and go for somebody, you go, wow, this person is fantastic, they have everything I want, no fatal flaw, but I'm kind of at phase 2.5 still, I'm only halfway there. What will tend to happen in that situation, because you're truly not really ready yet, and yet if you kind of push yourself to go for it, what you'll do is you'll start to subconsciously sabotage yourself. So, and this sabotaging thing is going to make it not work out. So in a way, it's still again about safety, but now it's a much more drama-filled version of it, right? So it's like you're trying to be with this person who's amazing, they have everything you want, but because you're not ready, you do sabotaging behaviors that mess it up, that ruin it. You can, say things that aren't really who you are, or you're misrepresenting yourself, and afterwards you're going, why did I say that? I mean, that's not me. Why could I possibly have said that, right? It's like, who said that? So weird, right? So you might say things that misrepresent yourself. You might take behaviors that are not you, that are negative, that you would normally never do. You might come across as just very insecure and needy. There's lots of ways that you can sabotage yourself at this point so that it's not going to work out because you're not really ready for it yet. Okay, so this is sort of mid-phase 2, going for it too soon. Okay, so there's potential major drama. As you work further through phase 2, maybe let's say phase 2.75, now you're getting pretty far along. You're almost there, not quite there enough to feel ease. You haven't hit phase 3 yet where you're going to feel total ease, but you're far enough along that you can probably still go for it. And what you'll find in that situation is that it's more anxiety ridden than ideally you'd want it to be. Maybe not enough to make you sabotage yourself fully and mess up the whole thing, but you just find that it's a bit more dramatic, a bit more ups and downs. You're a little extra sensitive. It's a little harder to kind of just roll with things, go with the flow. But not so bad that it's not going to work out. It's just harder. It's just a bit more dramatic than it would otherwise be in phase 3, for instance. Now, interestingly, actually with my clients, I find that they often meet a great person in phase 2.75. It's like, I'm not quite ready yet. It's not quite ready yet, but I met this person. So that just seems to happen a lot, and it's okay. And what you want to do in this case is, really intensely work on whatever remaining fears are left, so you can try and get yourself to phase 3 as soon as possible. But also just be aware of what's happening. It's like, okay, I'm okay. Yes, I'm feeling a little more scared than I'd like. I might be a little more jittery than I'd like. I'm not being quite my comfortable natural self that I'd like. But if I hang in there, it'll probably work out okay. And you can just use EFT while you're on dates. As you're driving to your date or waiting to be picked up or whatever, you can be tapping on whatever the fears are you get in touch with. If you use EFT or whatever technique you use, meditate for an hour before your date or whatever. And there's even some subtle little tapping things you can do during a date. I actually have another video that talks about some subtle hidden tapping you can do during a date to help make it more easeful. So anyway, that's what can happen towards the late phase of phase 2. So once you've cleared out your fears, your limiting beliefs, and your insecurities enough, you enter phase 3. Now enough, there's this sort of threshold you reach where you don't have to clear out every single fear you have, and you don't have to clear out all your fears down to absolutely all the way to 0. There's this threshold you hit where it's just not, you're very aware that it's not holding you back anymore. And you might feel just a little itchy, a little anxious, just a little this, a little bit of that, but it's you might notice it, but it doesn't in any way slow you down at all. Once you get to that point, that's phase 3. So phase 3 is called healthy dating. This is where we all want to be. This is, if we didn't have our childhoods, the way they were, we would, ideally we would all just start in phase 3 in healthy dating. So what is phase 3 like? Phase 3, you feel comfortable and confident being your natural self. See, when we're not in phase 3 and we're in phase 2, say, or any other phase, we're not feeling comfortable being ourselves. So we will tend to try and do things that are not us. We might, read, if you're a guy, you might read a book on how to pick up women. Or if you're a woman, you might read books how to, navigate dating. There's a book called The Rules. And there's all these different things that are supposed to help you with dating. But they're really about, doing, following these formulas, these prescriptions that are not about being your natural self. And when you think about it, if I want to meet my ideal partner, the best way to meet my ideal partner is by being fully me, my authentic, natural self. That's what we want to be. That's what you are able to be in phase 3 dating. So, prior to phase 3, when you're going to date, lots of times we feel very anxious because, what if this person doesn't like me? So while we're dating, we're like thinking, I hope this person likes me, and what can I do to get this person to like me, and things like that. And all that stuff tends to backfire. Anytime you try and do something to get somebody to like you, either that's unappealing, it's a turnoff. I'm sure you've been on dates with people where they were trying to do that with you, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't like that. Or, ironically, if you succeed by doing something other than who you are, you've gotten the person to like you on false pretenses, right? It's not really you. And eventually you have to relax into yourself, and now all of a sudden it doesn't work, right? So in any way, it doesn't work for multiple reasons to try and be something other than yourself. In phase 3, you're able to be your natural self. When I was in phase 3 dating, I felt relaxed. I felt comfortable in my own skin. I felt comfortable to be me. I was not worried about whether or not this person liked me. If anything, I was kind of just keeping in mind, do I like this other person? But even that, I wasn't even particularly worried about that. It was more like, hey, I'm just really interested in getting to know this person. I'm interested in spending time together, and let's have fun and just see how it feels. So really the main thing I was just noticing is like, how does it feel to be with this person? Does it feel fun? Is it interesting? Is it stimulating? Is there this nice chemistry? Things like that. How does it feel for me? Is really the only thing. And I wasn't even super focused on that. It was just something I've just kind of noticed in the back of my mind, because mostly what I was focused on is just connecting to the person and enjoying the date. So that's what phase 3 is like. Confident, comfortable dating. Now, so what do you have to think about in phase 3 now that you're in this wonderful, healthy, confident, comfortable dating phase? Well, one of the things you think about is, how do I bring my soulmate, my ideal partner, into my life faster, as soon as possible? So in phase 3, we're going to use something called the law of attraction, which remember I said one block is not being aligned with bringing our ideal partner into our life as soon as possible. Well, law of attraction is a way to do that, to align with bringing the person into your life as soon as possible. I'm not going to talk about law of attraction now. I talk about it in the mini course, but I just want to bring it up that that's really the thing that you do in phase 3, is just try and speed it up, to try and accelerate the process of meeting your ideal partner. The other thing about phase 3 is that once you reach phase 3, you're in a much healthier emotional state yourself by then, because you've really worked on your issues, you've cleared out a lot of blocks, and you're really in this great place. So the quality of people that you attract into your life are all very high quality people. They're wonderful people. So the relationships you get into in phase 3 all tend to be great relationships. So the only thing that you have to think about in phase 3 is simply, is this person the great relationship? Is this person the one? Is this person my soulmate, my ideal partner? And if it is, yay, you found this person, you're done, right? If it's not, then, once you become clear on that, you sadly, but comfortably and confidently move on. And that's another really important part of phase 3. Prior to phase 3, it can be very hard to leave a relationship. Because we have these fears and insecurities, it can be hard to let go of a relationship. You might be feeling like, will I ever find love again? Is there really somebody out there for me? Is there anybody better? Things like that. And once you reach phase 3, you don't have those concerns anymore, really, because you can already see the wonderful quality of people that you've been attracting. you feel much more comfortable and confident that if this relationship doesn't work out, you'll be able to attract another really wonderful partner. So, moving on it's like, we had an incredible, wonderful time together. Unfortunately, this isn't, we're not life partner, material. So, I'm going to move on. And it's a sad thing, but it feels okay. We feel there's this confidence that the right person really will come along. So these are the 3 phases of dating. You can see again how this organizing principle or theory can really help you understand the whole progression you're going through as you're clearing out your blocks to finding your beloved. Now, one last thing I'd like to talk about is, once I've described the 3 phases of dating, the first question I often get at this point is, how do I get from phase 1 to phase 3? And how long does it take, right? So the first thing I'd like to say to answer that question is, when you think about it, most people, the great majority of people, never get out of phase 1. Because they're not even aware of all this stuff that we're talking about here. So they start in unconscious dating, they never address any of their blocks, and they just spend their whole life there. And you can see that in marriage and divorce statistics, right? In the United States, half of everybody gets divorced, and then even the other half that stay together, only half of them are happy. So that means 75% of people are having very unsuccessful love lives, and only 25% are happy. And that's because most people never address these 3 phases. They never address the 3 key blocks to finding love. So they stay in phase 1 their whole lives. So the very fact that you're watching this video and you're thinking about this stuff is a big head start for you. Okay? So how do we get from phase 1 to phase 3? Is you need to address these 3 key blocks. I have a system for doing so. I'm not the only person who does it. I think I do it in a particularly effective, special way. So that's why this is my mission. This is my passion. But you can do it any way you want. I myself did it prior to having this system, so it took me a long time. So people who work through their blocks in regular therapy, say, like I did, it tends to be a many-year process getting through the 3 blocks. It took me 3 years to get out of phase 1 to get to phase 2. It took me many more years to work through phase 2 to get to phase 3. However, if you have the right system, using EFT, but not just EFT, but applying EFT in a special relational way to address the relational aspect of certain childhood wounds that have created all these patterns, and that's a key difference, you can actually get through this stuff very quickly. As you work through the 3 different blocks, of course it's going to vary from person to person, but you can get all the way from phase 1 to phase 3 in as short as, about 2 months, maybe even less, 6 weeks, 2 months. Might take 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. But if you're working through it consistently, applying this kind of program, that's all we're talking about. It's a limited number of months. So, which is wonderful. It doesn't have to take years or even decades, or never, as the case with most people, to get to phase 3. So, it's very possible to get there. I've helped many people get to phase 3 and have wonderful love lives, and you can do it too. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Love Talk Q&A. Did you like this video? If so, click on the like button below, subscribe to this channel, and spread the love to your friends. And if you have questions about your love life, please submit them in the comments below, and your question just might appear in an upcoming episode of Love Talk Q&A. Also, if you would like to understand the 3 key blocks to finding love and how to attract your soulmate now, sign up for the free Finding the Love You Want mini course. Well, thank you for hanging out with me, and remember, no matter how long you've been trying, you really can have the life and love you long for. This is Stefan Gonick, International Love Coach from FindingTheLoveYouWant.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Love Talk Q&A.